Oi. Hey.
What was that?
I don't know.
Is that some fucking Dick Van Dyke shit you're pulling?
I, yeah, Dick Van Dyke. Uh,
Well, you were
the,
just
the
you.
the
Well,
only the
oh.
only British person I listen to.
So not me then. I don't count. You just
No.
drown me out with your Dick Van Dyke.
Mhm.
Everyone's dead. As of
Yeah,
as of this week, everyone's dead.
and anyone that mattered,
Anyone that mattered. Can I talk about that really quickly?
you can, cause you're English, so I assume this is way worse for anyone over there.
Well, it's like half of our fucking population. I mean, we're not a big country. No, it's
Going get your
incredible.
citizenship over here now.
No, I need to stay. I need to stay and repopulate the earth
Oh God,
with all that's left.
who else is left?
Oh,
Wimbledon tennis match.
the cast of Red Dwarf, they're still kicking about.
Yeah.
Um, it's really sad. So last week, I was on my way to work. Well, I was just about to leave the house, and my mum said, Fran, are you going to work? And I said, yes. And she said, David Bowie's died. And I was in complete shock. And I immediately texted my cousin as I was walking to get my bus. Um, yeah, then 3 days later, I was at school. And I overheard someone saying that Alan had died. And apparently, my friend Beth said it sounded like the noise I made, it made it sound like my best friend had died. Um,
Mhm.
so, yeah, it's very weird. I mean, I was talking to my friend James about this, and like, obviously, you don't know them. It's not like being their family or being their friend. But there is something about that shared experience of everyone having something about this person that meant something to them, whether it's a song or a performance or a quote.
Oh
But
yeah.
you're connected by this loss, and like the whole world, you know? And
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, it just really sucks. It's just a really sad, sucky thing that's happened. And they were both 69, and they both died of cancer.
That wasn't publicly
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I mean,
public knowledge.
would you make it public knowledge if you were them?
If if it if it was terminal, then I wouldn't.
No,
Like, you had to have, in my eyes, like, they had to have known for sure that they were gonna die very soon. If it was a situation like that, no, I wouldn't. Especially if I was in the public eye, because I'm always reminded of what happened with Freddie Mercury when no one knew if he had AIDS or not, and the media was just like, "You got AIDS, you have AIDS, you have AIDS," and then, uh, uh, in my personal opinion, and then once he came out and said he had AIDS, he died a few days later, and I'm like, I'm sure that like the hounding and the stress from the media, like he could have lived a few more weeks if he had not had all that stress and just the media was not hounding him constantly about his HIV status.
it's funny, isn't
And
it? I mean,
I I wouldn't want that to happen to me.
no, no, me neither. I mean, I actually didn't know that about Freddie Mercury. I mean,
Yeah,
bloody hell, like,
there was a rumor that like Freddie Mercury has HIV, and so they just hounded him on it until
uh,
he finally just came out publicly and said, "Yeah, I have it," and then he
I mean, the
died
sad
like
thing about something like
2
that is
days
that,
later, 2 days after he came out and said he had
yeah,
AIDS.
I mean, the sad thing about that is that I think because of the time that that was happening in, he's going to be judged much more harshly for having something like AIDS. And I suppose,
Oh yeah, because people still didn't know, even in the
yeah, there were people that thought that
early
being
80s,
gay,
like late 80s, early 90s, people still didn't know. People know more about AIDS now than they did 20 years ago.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
thought,
they know much more about AIDS,
the
even
majority of
even just
people,
20 years ago.
the majority of people thought, I mean, maybe not the majority, but there were a significant number of people that thought, because you're right, the education just wasn't as good, that if you were gay, that was the only way you could get AIDS. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, whether or not it affected his health or not, it is just a really fucking unpleasant thing to have gone through when you're dying. I mean, an unpleasant thing to go
Hmm.
through anyway, but particularly when you're dying. I mean, I think I think I agree with you. I think I wouldn't make it public knowledge because as sad as it is for people kind of having that shock, um you would just want to be left alone, wouldn't you? You'd want to be left alone to,
Yeah.
you know, sort of be with your family, be with your friends, have that space to do the things you want, that space and that freedom and that peace.
I mean, and again, especially if you're in the public eye.
Oh God, yeah. Well, that's precisely it. I mean, for me, it kind of comes back to this whole freedom of press thing. I mean, I think, of course the press should be free and not censored, but that has to come with a caveat. That has to come with responsibilities. It can't be this sweeping generalization. Um, I think it is morally reprehensible to hound people that are vulnerable, particularly when they haven't done anything wrong, when it's not their fault. I think Ricky Gervais always said something along the lines of, I didn't sort of sign my life away, but when I became famous, I don't abide by this thing that people are allowed to go through my bins because that's part and parcel of being famous.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, I think sadly, I probably would keep it to myself because, the press are a bunch of bastards.
And again, especially if you're terminal, like the doctor said you have this amount of time maximum to live, pretty much. And I mean, it's entirely different when it's like, well, we can still do some stuff to maybe, help
Yeah,
it,
when
but
there's a chance, I guess.
it's a
Yeah.
completely different chance when a doctor's like, we can keep giving you chemo to help the pain, but you're gonna die in 6 months.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Which doctors don't talk like that, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't. They probably have to talk in a way that people can understand. I think that
You
was a
you can't
fairly.
say the word death though. You can't say the word die.
Can't
You have to
you?
say like, well, that's what I've heard. Like,
Oh,
you don't, when you're telling someone they're gonna die, you don't, they can't flat out, like, not legally or anything, but it's best if you don't flat out say the word death or
oh, so it's,
die or
it's more
like,
like you should probably start getting your affairs in order, or we can make you as comfortable as possible. That kind
yeah,
of thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I think it's simple, really. You wouldn't want having to deal with the press on top of dying and trying to get all your shit together.
Hmm.
The lovely cheerful topic we've started on. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
really. We'll talk about happy stuff later,
Well, why
but
don't we?
I
Why?
just felt like that was important.
Yeah, it was important. I mean, why don't we move on to things about them that have meant something to us?
Okay.
And I know that David Bowie meant something to you, so why don't you talk about that?
Um, my parents, I still have this album too. My parents, because I took it for myself. My parents had this album, and it's a compilation album that David Bowie released in like 1997 or 8, I want to say.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure, but it was late 90s. Called Changes Bowie. It's a compilation album,
All right.
and it just had a lot of his greatest hits on there. And that was like I kind of just like heard it throughout my childhood, but I never actually like went out to seek who that was
Yeah, yeah.
until a little bit later in life when I started to like, maybe I should get into classic rock or whatever. This is like when I was in middle school, and that was the first album I put on, and his music led me to finding like Queen and Iggy Pop and all these people that I really really like now. And I don't think at that age, I don't think I would have given them a chance if I had not listened to, Space Odyssey or Space Oddity. I always do that. I always call it Space Odyssey when it's Space Oddity. Ground Control to Major Tom.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
with you.
yeah, and like all those songs on there and changes and I don't know. I feel like at that age that I was at, because I was pretty young, um, I wouldn't have gotten to, all this glam rock scene that I just didn't know about at the time. I feel like I wouldn't have gotten to that for a while, at
I
least.
mean,
But I was pretty young when I was like, Queen's super cool.
I remember when I discovered Queen. But I mean, it is true. Like, you do have this stuff in your background that your parents have listened to. Um, and yeah, you don't think to yourself, like, when you're 10, like, or at least I didn't, and it doesn't sound like you did. You don't think, oh, I've got to find out who they are. It is just like, yeah, it is almost like the soundtrack to your childhood. And you just take for granted that it's there.
Yeah.
Leonard Cohen would be someone like that for me. Um, I mean, for me, David Bowie, I got into him probably when I started getting really, really into music. But I think this was quite a lot of this was to do with the friends that I had at the time and still have. But yeah, so that would have been when I was about 18, 19.
Hmm.
Um,
So not for a while.
yeah, no, this David Bowie wasn't someone that I grew up with, actually.
Hmm.
Even though my mum and dad really liked him, it wasn't something that we used to sort of have on around the house as far as I'm aware. Um, but yeah, so when I was about 18, 19, I got into David Bowie and um, yeah, a couple of songs I really, really fell in love with. Kooks, Changes. I mean,
I'll
you
tell you
know,
right now, Life on Mars is my favorite song of his. And I don't think it gets enough love, to be honest with you.
no, I think you're right. I think you're right. And obviously Labyrinth,
Labyrinth's a great movie.
and he's amazing in it.
It's
And I
so hokey, but
I love it.
I love the production.
I love that era for children's films, that kind of like handmade quality that they all had and how
Creepy Jim Henson.
yeah, just how creative. And I mean it's a little like watching the original Star Wars trilogy or something like that, just
It's
how the Jim Henson Creature Workshop, how like beautifully designed those prosthetics were and how rich in
Yeah,
detail.
it falls in the same category of movies as like The Dark Crystal and Return
Yeah,
to
or
Oz.
Never Ending Story, I think would be
Yeah,
another one. So yeah, I mean, and he's
because
obviously
they all kind of have that same like atmosphere about them. Like they're just like not like creepy at times, but you want to stay. You're
yeah,
like,
oh, exactly. I mean,
oh,
no, I think that period there was a weird period after that where CGI just suddenly started to become really, really like it was in such early stages that it was being really, really overused, but in places that looked really, really unnatural. And it was a very kind of like hokey, heartless time for sort of family and children's films. But the period before that, where everything was very tactile and very handmade and very dark and gloomy and yeah, I think it was, but like you say, they were places that you wanted to stay and that you wanted to explore. And yeah, Labyrinth is kind of the epitome of that, and David Bowie is completely iconic in it. And I mean, Kooks, I love that song. That it's what I want it to be like when I have children. It's one of those songs that just sends a shiver up my spine. I love it.
yeah. It just sucked a lot, because...
Yeah, it did. Should we talk about Alan Rickman?
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a very heartless way of moving on from
No, it's
favourite
good. It's good.
book. And then, yeah, so after that, 3 days later, Alan Rickman died. And
Did they ever say what kind of cancer Alan Rickman had?
no,
Or...
did they ever say what kind David Bowie had?
I heard from a couple of sources that it was liver cancer, which will fucking get you
God.
pretty hard. But, like, that's probably one of the worst ones you can get. Liver and prostate are, like, the worst you can get, pretty much.
Jesus Christ.
All cancer's bad, but liver and prostate will get people, especially men.
Well, I don't know what kind. I don't know.
I don't know if that's true though. By the way, I heard from a couple of sources that it was liver cancer, but I don't know for sure.
Okay, don't quote us on that. We're not TMZ.
Yeah, I feel like now's a little too soon for people to hopefully say, but maybe like one day that'll like for both of them, maybe that'll come out of the woodwork from
yeah,
like
maybe.
maybe Amon will do like an interview 5 years from now and say on Barbara Walters or something. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know.
I mean, they both, not funnily enough, but I mean, it's interesting as well that they were two of the few people in kind of Hollywood or the music industry to have been with the same people for like decades and decades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that's pretty rare, and I think speaks volumes. But yeah, Alan Rickman, huge part of me. He was someone that was an enormous part of my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in everything from Dogma when I was a teenager to Harry Potter throughout my entire childhood. Most perfectly cast member of the Harry Potter movies. Like, I think him and Robbie Coltrane, who played Hagrid, like, the others, I think I could probably do a pretty good job of casting elsewhere, but they were perfect. You know, couldn't have been anyone else for either of them. And yeah, it's phenomenally sad. I mean, Alan Rickman, what I love about him is that he didn't start acting until he was 28, I believe, but again, don't quote me on that. So he,
Yeah,
you know,
that's old in Hollywood.
yeah, I mean, but doesn't it just show, isn't it wonderful that, you know, kind of relatively well into your adulthood, you know, you're still able to change the course of your whole life, you know, and pursue a completely different dream. I mean, it does just, yeah, it's a hugely sort of hopeful impression to have left. And yeah, by all accounts, he was just a lovely, wonderful person. And of course, Galaxy Quest, one of the most fucking great.
I still need to see that movie.
His performance in that is extraordinary. I mean, yeah, it's a great part. Again, it's perfectly cast, but I mean, they're all brilliant. It's a wonderfully cast film. It's really funny. Incredibly moving in parts. Yeah, I've never really seen anything like it. It's a classic. Galaxy Quest, an absolute classic.
I mean, I really, because I'm American, so really, and a millennial, so the only thing I really knew him from was Harry Potter, and, but those were, like, big parts of my life. Going to see those movies with friends, those were, like, events in my life that I remember very fondly. And, well, now that I'm older, like, I've seen Die Hard, and I've seen, Love Actually, and, God, what else? A few other things I can't put my finger... Sweeney Todd, he's fantastic in Sweeney Todd.
Oh yeah, he is. He really...
I think he's in Alice in Wonderland as well. Tim Burton, Alice in Wonderland.
Oh God, sorry. I'm just looking here. Jon Snow, one of our I mean, he's a newsreader, funnily enough.
Yeah, not Kit Harington from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, not Kit Harington. I'm just reading here. Apparently he made a joke about Alan Rickman's death.
Yeah.
On the news.
To someone who knew him. I think, from what I read.
Oh God! Oh, this is terrible. So basically, he asked Richard Wilson, who played a character in a really, really famous British sitcom called One Foot in the Grave. And the character's catchphrase was, "I don't believe it." So,
Okay, that's why I didn't understand that joke.
yeah, so Jon Snow asks Richard Wilson, "Did you know he was dying?" Wilson confirmed that he indeed had known. After which Snow quipped, "So it wasn't a case of, I don't believe it, then."
That's worse now that I know the
Isn't
context of
that
that.
terrible? He must...
Now that you had to explain to me that that was a catchphrase from a sitcom he was in. Like, I had no idea that that was the case.
I mean,
I'm like, why is that bad?
I don't know whether maybe Jon Snow has dementia or something, because he's not a young man, but yeah, Christ almighty, it's got to be one of those things where, because he always seems like a really cool guy, it's got to be one of those things where as soon as it came out of his mouth, he was kicking himself, because that is so fucking terrible.
Yeah. That's fucking awful. I think he did publicly apologize.
Did he?
But you had to give me context for that, and I thank you for that.
God almighty. And yet we're both like, oh, here we go. Jon Snow apologizes for distasteful Alan Rickman joke. Let's see what it says.
It's probably like just, I'm a fucking idiot.
It would have to be. I apologize unreservedly. It was a mistake in the heat of a sad moment. Oh, see, I feel bad for it.
What an English apology.
I wonder if... I haven't seen the video. I wonder how Richard Wilson...
I didn't watch it either. I'm sure it wasn't our cringe, but I didn't I didn't want to watch it.
No, I may watch it. I mean, because that, again, it comes back to this thing of, it is really, really sad, but they are still celebrities. It is that, like, little bit of detachment. See, to me, that is still quite a funny story.
Yeah.
It's terrible, isn't it?
I think it's funny, but also terrible.
No, good for you. You're much more honest than I am. But yeah, you had seen him in, what were you saying?
I got Sweeney Todd out of my head.
Sweeney
Todd.
Like,
yeah, he was really good in Sweeney Todd.
He was wonderful in Sweeney Todd.
Judge Tippin.
He was fucking terrifying in Sweeney Todd. I mean, he could, like, that's the thing. He's played so many villains, but what I loved about him as Snape, which is why I think he was so perfect for the character, is that you sort of expect Alan Rickman to turn up as a villain, but what he got the opportunity to do with that character is play a villain with a much richer, more complicated backstory. So he completely... Not only did he subvert all the things that you thought you knew about Severus Snape, but he subverted all the things that you thought you knew about Alan Rickman.
Yeah. And I mean, he played Hans Gruber, who's another really, really famous movie villain.
Yeah, and, he did. I mean, no, the
iconic.
Sheriff of Nottingham, Hans Gruber, Snape. He was kind
Judge
of
Turpin. Judge Turpin is not that well known, but I mean, he tried to marry Johnny Depp's daughter in that movie.
Yeah, he was a fucking cunt in that movie.
He adopted Johnny Depp's daughter and then wanted to marry her.
So sort of the Woody Allen of the piece.
Pretty much, yeah. And he admits that to Johnny Depp without knowing that he's Johnny Depp.
And then he played,
And then Johnny Depp kills him, or tries to kill him at first, and then it fails. Spoilers for Sweeney Todd if you haven't seen it. It's a fantastic movie.
Yeah, why are you describing the whole fucking plot, Greer?
Because Sweeney Todd's like 100-year-old play, I think.
Oh yeah, no, fair play.
100-year-old musical.
But
Johnny Depp, this is for the movie though, which is old. Not old, but it came out not recently, within the year 2000-ish.
Alan Rickman, though, he was also kind of a prick in Love Actually, wasn't he? I mean, he essentially played a villain in that movie.
With him and Emma Thompson? Was it with Emma Thompson? I don't remember.
Well, he cheated on her with that, like, slutty secretary person.
Yeah. I
shouldn't say that, sorry, that's very un-PC of me, but, yeah, no, he was a total cunt in that movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a pretty comprehensive list of Alan Rickman villains. Rest in peace,
Both of them.
both of them. I don't believe it. I simply don't believe it.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about happy things now.
Can you cut out my
So
don't believe it joke, because I don't want to get in trouble.
no,
like,
I will not. You don't want to get in trouble with Twitter and the BBC.
Okay, leave that entire segment of me asking you to take it out then. I think that makes it. So happy things.
So we went to go see a riff tracks the other night of Starship Troopers. I don't know if you've seen Starship Troopers.
I don't, but I know it's your favorite movie ever, or one of them. Although, what the hell was up with the way you just pronounced Starship Troopers?
Starship Troopers.
You say it weird.
Starship Troopers. How? Which word? Which word?
You say Starship Troopers. You don't say Starship Troopers. You say... Do you see the difference?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay, never mind.
Anyway, I had never seen Starship Troopers before, actually, but now it's one of my favorite movies, because I really liked it. I legitimately liked that movie.
Hang on a minute, I thought you loved that... Weren't you super into that movie? I thought you were super into that movie.
I had never seen Starship Troopers before.
Wesley
had seen it many times before. He was very excited. He's like... I told him, I'm like, we're going to see Riff Tracks for the Room in a few weeks, or they're doing it for Starship Troopers, and he's like, we'll go to both, and I'm like, have you seen Starship Troopers? And he's like, I've seen it like 5 or 6 times, it's great.
Had he seen The Room?
Oh yeah, we've both seen The Room multiple times.
So what was...
We're going to that in 2 weeks.
That's exciting. So what was it like then? Because I don't know anything about Riff Tracks. Give me a rundown.
It's just the Mystery Science Theater guys doing what they do.
Which
is?
Which is? I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything about Mystery Science Theater.
I thought you did.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I've heard of them, but I don't know anything about like what they do.
They get you can find old episodes of Mystery Science Theater online, by the way, and you should.
I don't know whether maybe once I pretended that I knew about them just to be polite, but I actually don't.
Well, I think it is like, I don't think it aired over there or anything.
No, it didn't.
It's an American-made show, so that may be why.
Riff Track, Mystery Science Theater, give me the rundown.
So it's these 3 guys. There's a story behind Mystery Science Theater that's very, like, old shitty sci-fi, which is ironic because that is what they sit down and riff is old shitty sci-fi movies, which is what they would do on Mystery Science Theater, where, like, the more famous episodes were, like Manos, the Hands of Fate, and, what are some more shit? What are some more, like, really famous ones? Like the Bat People and just like old shitty movies you've never heard of. And so it was this guy, and this guy Joel, he was a janitor, and he was he's forced to watch like all these terrible B movies with his robot companions, which are Tom Servo, Crow, and Gypsy. And it was written by mainly these 3 guys, which do Riff Tracks now, which are Mike Nelson, Kevin Murphy, and Bill Corbett. And they do they do Riff Tracks now. But when it was MS3T3K, it was Joel, Tom Servo, Crow, and Gypsy, the robots. Okay. And so they would air it on like I mean, it won a lot of awards. They would air it. I remember it airing on Sci-Fi, I believe. And they actually had a Kickstarter recently to fund some more episodes that they were gonna, I guess, put online. I don't think they're actually airing it on TV, because they would get canceled all the time. It's one thing I remember. They would go off the air and then back on and then off
That
and
happens to
then back.
all the best shows, except
Yeah,
for
it
I know you
does.
hate Family Guy, but
It happened to
nevertheless.
Futurama constantly.
Yes, it did happen to Futurama, and they were great. They were great about like openly sticking it to Fox on the show. Um, God rest its soul, Futurama.
Like I think it was on like Comedy Central for a few years before it went to Sci-Fi.
Yeah, it was on
Uh,
Comedy Central. I just Wikipedia'd it. It sounds really funny. I mean, what actually takes place at these screenings?
they just sit down and they watch the whole movie and they riff on it and they make jokes.
Oh, that sounds like
And that's what they
so
that's what
much
they
fun.
with that's what they do with riff tracks now. They'll go and do like live tapings of them, and then like a few of them I've seen were live streamed, so they were live streamed to cinemas.
Okay,
But
if
the
they
Starship
ever
Troopers, the Starship Troopers in the Room one that I'm seeing are like pre-recorded from a couple of years ago, but you know, but
well,
we've seen like. Hmm,
I'm gonna find out whether after we finished recording, I'm gonna find out whether they ever come to the UK or whether they ever screen it in the UK. And if they do, I will send you a link for tour dates and you can put it on the YouTube.
yeah. But and then with riff tracks, they do you can buy the audio tracks for a riffing. So you have to have the movie. Well, I think with some of them it comes with the movie. Like older ones, like we bought Humble Bundle did a release of a few of them, and it came with the movie. So I think it depends on the movie. That you just sync it up with your movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's great.
That's
And they have
a good
like,
idea.
I mean, they do shitty movies, and they also do like really popular movies. So if you have a copy of like The Dark Knight, you can buy the Rip Tracks commentary for The Dark Knight and
Wow,
sync it up with your copy of Dark Knight.
that's so fucking cool. What a great idea.
And
So,
it's I mean, they got a shit ton of them. Like they have like National Geographic, like episodes of like shitty National Geographic specials to like they got the Transformers movies and a bunch of old Batman, obscure Batman shit, and but they also have like the Twilight movies and Lord of the Rings, and I think they do tracks of like classic MST3K ones, like me and Wesley have a Manos the Hands of Fate riff tracks that we got from
oh,
that Humble
cool.
Bundle, and you know
Wait, do you know what I've just seen on Facebook?
what.
Jessica Jones season 2 coming soon. Didn't they like just finish season 1?
I think so.
How the fuck are they able to turn things over so quickly on Netflix? Jesus Christ.
I don't know. They got the money. I don't know.
That's bonkers though. They must have filmed it in like a week. I'll tell you what though, have you watched Jessica Jones yet?
I haven't. I don't have Netflix.
It's
Wesley has Netflix, but
fucking brilliant. Next time you hang out at Wesley's, watch Jessica Jones. I don't know whether I've talked about it yet on the podcast, but it's amazing. Like fucking great characters, great story. David Tennant is scary as shit in it, and weirdly manages to be scary as shit while not doing anything entirely dissimilar to what he does in Doctor Who. So make of that what you will. Um, yeah, second season coming in no time at all. But no, it's great. It's like a film noir.
yeah.
It's
That's what I've heard. It's great.
well, I
Just so
really,
you
I don't
know.
know. I'm really liking all the online content Marvel are doing. Like, I think the idea is that they're doing Jessica Jones, they're doing Daredevil, they're going to do Luke Cage, which was a character who was featured in Jessica Jones and was brilliant. And then I think they're going to come together and do something called the Defenders,
Yeah.
which is essentially like the Avengers but on the streets, defending the streets.
There's an Asgardian in the Defenders too.
Really?
Valkyrie, I believe. I
Ooh.
don't know if she's gonna be in it or not, but she is in the Defenders in the comics.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that the writing is just like, I think because they're not as restricted, the writing is just a zillion times better on those Netflix shows. I mean, not that I don't love the Marvel movies, but I do think they are getting to the point, particularly now Joss Whedon has kind of washed his hands of it, where, you do kind of know what you're going to get with everyone. I mean, again, it's one of the reasons I'm so excited about Deadpool.
Mm-hmm. Deadpool's gonna be fantastic. I can't wait for it.
It's going to be amazing. And the marketing for it, like there was I don't know whether it's real or not, but there was purported to be a petition going round so that Deadpool be a PG-13 movie in order for this kid to be able to see it. And there was a tweet which was meant to be from Deadpool that was like, this movie's for big boys and girls. Go fuck yourself. Your mum's a whore. Love Deadpool. It's good. I like it. I've watched the trailer like 50 times.
It's great.
Can
we talk about we can talk about how I'm complete Kylo Ren trash now.
We can talk about that. Yeah, are you also Loki trash still, or?
I've told Loki to move the fuck over.
Move along, son. Nothing to see here.
Move along, son.
So now you're all...
I mean, he's king now. He doesn't need me anymore.
Well, that's it, yeah.
Spoilers for the end of Thor: The Dark World. He's not actually dead. Pretty sure he killed Odin.
Yeah, Odin, I'm fairly certain, is either dead or locked up somewhere.
I'd be shocked if they get Anthony Hopkins back for a third one. That's the main reason I'm like, yeah, he's dead.
He's incredible.
I don't think they could get Anthony Hopkins back for a third one.
He brings like such like gravitas to it. Like he takes it so wonderfully seriously. I'd be fucking sad if he was back.
He hates it though.
Hang on, has he said this?
I think he. It comes off to me that he doesn't really like. That he doesn't really like doing the Marvel.
Just like cashing the check.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit like actually
Idris Elba has reportedly said that as well, which sucks because he's great as Heimdall. He could be like he could have been like Luke Cage or
he could have been
someone in the Marvel universe. I don't know.
Why does he hate it though? Because he would think he'd be of the generation that kind of got it a little bit more.
I don't know.
Surprising. I still fucking...
It's like, I should be James Bond or whatever.
I still love Idris though. Did I tell you, my friend, she got me a photo frame for Christmas, and her and my other friend had photoshopped a picture of me and Idris Elba, and it was really realistic. And put it in the frame. They apparently spent about 3 hours on it. It's so beautiful. It's my pride and joy.
Yeah.
What were we?
I would think so.
What were we talking about again? Oh, how your Kylo Ren crash.
Yeah.
Go on.
He's great.
That clip of...
Mainly because my thirst for Adam Driver is never ending. He has weird face, and I don't care.
I didn't have a thirst for Adam Driver, even in The Force Awakens.
I didn't either. Now, me now.
But you know what? I thought he was brilliant in The Force Awakens. But the thing that weirdly gave me the thirst for Adam Driver was that clip of him in SNL that I just watched.
He's funny.
He's so fucking funny. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen on SNL. Because I think SNL is very, very hit and miss. But that was fucking hysterical. And when he came in looking all like Napoleon Dynamite-y, pretending to be Matt, like, I loved the hell out of that.
Matt, the radar technician. Someone cosplay immediately.
Oh god, yes. So you're Kylo Ren trash.
Just go around like just claiming that you're not Kylo Ren. And then be like, look, I'm Kylo Ren's lightsaber.
Look at it.
Well, then you don't have to look at it. He throws it.
I'm
like 90% sure that Matt is Kylo Ren.
Like, I knew as soon as you said, hi, I'm Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm Kylo Ren trash too. I think I'm much more Kylo Ren trash than I was Loki trash.
hmm I mean, it's pretty equal for me right now, but
No, fair play.
I
But
I followed a I
like
followed
you,
a bunch of other Kylo Ren trash Twitter accounts last night.
I'm sensing as well there's going to be a lot of Tumblr activity,
Oh yeah,
like
there already is.
more than we could possibly compute, more than we could hope to compute with our feeble human minds. On a slightly different tack, I want to talk to you. So my cousin, um, wrote a sitcom that was on the radio, and it's up for a British Comedy Award, and I got a bunch of people to vote for it. And Greer, I noticed first of all how to an American, these names would sound the names of some of the sitcoms and other shows that were being voted for, how British they sounded. So I made up um I made up a real British show and then the name of a fake British show, and I wanted you to guess which one was real. So the two shows were um I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue and Crumpets for Finnegan. And I just wanted to know whether you had given this any thought, whether you had a guess.
I think I feel like I cheated because I saw I haven't a clue on the ballot, so I'm like, that's the real one. It's a
Oh,
game show or something, right?
yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Oh, that's a shame. We do also have a show called, because it does always make me funny, make me laugh. Our game shows in particular, how different they are. Like, we have a show called University Challenge, which is presented by a guy called Jeremy Paxman, who's this esteemed political newsreader. And it's just basically a team from a university versus a team from another university. So Oxford versus Cardiff or Cambridge or something like that. And they'll just be answering really, really difficult questions. And there isn't a cash prize. You don't win a car. There aren't loads of sexy ladies. There'll be questions on like classical music and shit like that. This show has been running for about 40 years and is insanely popular.
Uh-huh.
Is there any chance a show like that could succeed on mainstream American television?
What do they do on it?
Just answer questions.
I mean, most of the longest running shows on American TV still are game shows.
But
But also some of the shortest lived TV shows in America are game shows,
but I'm
so
talking about a game show of this nature where it's, there isn't, there isn't a lightning round. You're not winning a car. You're not winning a vacation. It's just a really, really clever bloke asking a bunch of really, really clever, nerdy people.
in America, if there's a game show where there's not a cash prize, then there's no point to the game show.
Well, this is what I was thinking. Yeah, I'd love for you to
If
sit
you
down.
aren't winning something, Americans are not going to go on it.
I would love nothing more than for you to sit down and watch University Challenge, because I think from your perspective, it would be something beyond your beyond your reckoning, beyond anything the likes of which you've seen before. Um, so here's
People would not go on Jeopardy if they didn't win anything.
uh,
People will not like pour over books for hours and study
but
and go on Jeopardy.
these are university students. Is University Challenge. So this
Uh-huh.
one I'm sending you, for instance. Da, da, da. Okay, never mind. But it was so yeah, it was St John's College, Oxford versus da, 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 da. Yeah, it was St John's College, Oxford versus Queen's University. So yeah, it just says here, quiz show for students. Two universities battle it out for a place in the quarterfinals. That's this episode, and that's it. And then there's
Mhm.
another show. There's another show here called Countdown, which is just maths and grammar questions. And you win a teapot. You win the
Awesome.
countdown teapot, and that's after months and months and months of like different rounds stuff. And again, it is just maths and grammar. And there are loads of pauses for people like working it out, and loads of really nerdy maths jokes. And again, this is one of the most popular shows on British TV.
Uh-huh. See,
So
I
we're
can't. They're. I at least. I can't think of any shows that game shows that don't give out prizes
Well, we're just better
or
than you.
money or
The tribe
money.
used to run the world.
See, I can't even think of one. Like, 'cause Jeopardy gives out money, Wheel of Fortune gives out money, Family Feud gives out money.
I mean, don't get me wrong, we have our fair share of crap. I mean, have you ever heard of a show called Deal or No Deal?
We have Deal or No Deal here.
You have Deal or No Deal?
We've had Deal or No Deal here for years. I forget if it's still airing or not, but Deal or No Deal is popular.
Where they call the banker and yeah, see, that's
Yeah.
kind of...
Howie Mandel hosts ours.
Oh, see, we've got a guy called Noel Edmonds who's been on British TV for years and years and years.
Yeah.
He's so fucking creepy.
I like Howie Mandel because he's actually funny, but all people know him for is the fact that he has OCD.
Oh,
Like really terrible OCD, like germaphobe, like he can't shake people's hands.
See, Noel Edmonds, he's a bit of an eccentric guy. He thinks that his dead parents, are two orbs that follow him around.
Okay. That's his shtick.
Well, it's not exactly his shtick. He said it once in an interview. His shtick is that he's a little creepy and racist and wears lots of very colourful shirts.
Uh-huh.
But, people love him. What else are we going to talk about?
Yeah, The Price is Right, I believe, is the longest running game show in America, and they give out cars like it's candy.
Yeah, see, we do have our fair share of crap.
But they also give out like really like weird shit like blenders and diamond earrings and recliners and exercise equipment. But also cars. Like if you that's the thing. Like if you are on Price is Right and you get a chance to try to win a car, like that's like the ultimate. Like people go nuts. They're like, oh my god, a car.
Over here, like we have a lot of things where it is kind of really, really valued being smart and being intellectual. And that is kind of the prize in itself, the sort of esteem of being seen as smart, being seen as intellectual. Like,
see, that's Jeopardy over here.
Oh, really?
Jeopardy.
So what kind of questions do they have on Jeopardy then? I mean, are they about like classical music and
stuff that smart people would know?
So you wouldn't know?
No, I played Jeopardy.
I'm kidding.
Yeah. My parents were like, we should have signed you up to go on, like, they'll do, like, Jeopardy with, like, teenagers.
Oh, yeah?
They'll do, like, a week with Jeopardy with, like, high school kids, and then they'll do one with, like, college kids.
So, okay, well,
they've done them with celebrities, too. That SNL skit, Celebrity Jeopardy, like, that's a real thing that'll happen.
I'm gonna watch Jeopardy. You've got to watch University Challenge and also Countdown, and then we can compare next time. I really want to do this. Okay. I think a country's game show says a lot about the country.
Alex Trebek is a national treasure.
Can we talk about X-Files?
Yeah. Go for it.
There's been a lot out there. There's been a lot online.
Like the truth.
Yeah, like the truth. The truth is out there. Or so they say. Yes, no, there's been a lot online, lots of trailers, lots of teasers. They are kind of overloading you with information at the moment. It's really hard for me because David Duchovny isn't as hot as he once was. And I'm really suffering quite profoundly.
See, I'm pretty sure my mom would, like, kick you to the ground and pummel you in the street.
Well, as you know, me and your mum, we differ on our appreciation of certain X-Files episodes, so I think we'd have some quite rousing debates. But I really want to see it because my baby, Joel McHale, is in it. My boo, Joel McHale, my sweetie, my honey, Joel McHale.
Your bae, if you will.
My bae. But season 9 of the X-Files, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks.
Well, so does the second movie, from what I've heard, so...
I mean, I think it's to sort of varying degrees. I think some people are a bit kinder and a bit more forgiving than others, but from what I've heard, it is a piece of shit and almost completely retcons everything from the series. But yeah, season 9 of the X-Files, it's some of the I mean, it wasn't just losing Mulder. Some of the writing and some of the new characters are shocking. But I'm acutely aware that if I want to see my baby Joel McHale back on my screen, I need to man up and get this shit done.
Yeah. They showed a clip on Jimmy Kimmel. I was watching this on my mom. They showed a clip on Jimmy Kimmel that a clip from the new one. Or no, was it Jimmy Kimmel or was it someone else? I forgot, but they showed a clip and it's like the show never ended because the clip is Scully answering the phone going, "Hello, Mulder," is like, "Scully, ba-da-da," like some fucking bullshit that he's spouting off, and it's complete with Scully going, "Mulder, what are you talking about? Mulder, what are you about to do?
God,
Mulder."
that makes me so happy. That makes me so... See, this is what I want. Like, I know what I like, and that's what I like. And David Duchovny and Gillian Anderson are still so fucking cute together.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, they just completely lost that magic. I mean, I think it was a really, there are other great things about the X-Files, and there were other great characters in the X-Files, but that central relationship, when they lost that, they lost a hell of a lot of the show's charm. And I think, luckily, when David Duchovny left for a while, they had Robert Patrick, who was
Didn't he get
brilliant.
abducted by an alien?
I'm trying to remember. I think it was
Scully got abducted by an alien, right? That was when Gillian Anderson was pregnant.
That was really early on. That was about season 2.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But yeah, they had Robert Patrick, and it kind of worked pretty well. He was a good character, Doggett. But then enter Reyes, who unfortunately seems to be in a disproportionate amount of season 9, and they're being billed right now as a bit of a double act. And yeah, I'm finding it pretty unwatchable. But if I want to see my babies again,
yeah,
I've got to man up.
By the way, that scene I was talking about, do you know how the scene ended? With
How?
With Mulder going, "I gotta go," and then hanging up the phone. And I'm like, it's like it never left.
That's it. That's what I want. That's the magic right there. I mean, if they fail to sleep together, it will be completely like it's never ended.
Yeah. It'll just be like sexual tension.
Yeah.
Apparently, their son plays a role in like a central role in the new series.
Okay, well, don't give too much away because I've been avoiding the trailers and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't seen.
So my mom was like, so they had a son, but then they had to give it up for adoption because it had...
Greer.
What?
I don't know any of this stuff.
You don't know? It was in the final season or something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I haven't seen the final season. I'm gonna cover my ears so you can talk about this. Okay?
I thought you had watched it at some point and you were rewatching it.
No, this is
rewatching it.
No, this is the first time I've ever seen the X-Files.
Oh no, I won't say anything then.
You suck so much. It's alright. It's nothing that I wasn't kind of vaguely aware of anyway.
Yeah.
So is your mum insanely excited?
She's living for it right now.
See, this is the thing. You say you and your mum don't have much in common, but then there is my mum, word for word, on the X-Files reboot premiering next week.
Word for word from last night.
Word for word. I'm living for it. It's like heaven, like literal baby Jesus coming down from heaven to give me a gift. See, that's you. You could have said that. In fact, I'm sure...
Well, yeah, about anything that I like, but this is like the only thing that she's passionate about.
But it's the manner with which you express yourselves. Like, I mean, that could have been you. You could have been saying that about any number of things.
Adam Driver.
It's a
Adam
very,
Driver
very...
SNL. It's like a baby it's like baby Jesus coming out and giving me the gift of a man that I want to climb.
of Bay goodness.
I'm so glad that Adam Driver doesn't have like a Twitter or anything, because I would just be like, I want to climb you. I would just tweet him creepy shit constantly. Like I did with Tom Hiddleston. No
Did you
wonder he's not
actually?
on Twitter that much anymore.
That makes sense.
He
Did you
couldn't
actually
through his
say to
Twitter
Tom
without seeing
Hiddleston?
like people calling him daddy or something.
Oh, ooh, that's repulsive. Did you actually say to Tom Hiddleston, "I want to climb you"?
No, I didn't.
Did you say anything permeating
I
to the
I
fact that?
I want to say that in the past I have probably said some things on Twitter to Tom Hiddleston that like
I deeply
I
regret.
won't be able to run for president is what I'm saying.
I'm deeply ashamed of the tweets that have unfortunately come to light. They in no way reflect who I am or my real
They are
feelings.
in every way how I feel about Tom Hiddleston. Please, please, this is my last chance to try to contact you.
I want to know, Greer, what could be so bad that you couldn't run for president? Because otherwise you were a shoo-in.
Yeah, really, I was already in. I was leading the polls right up there with Donald Trump.
You were, oh God, Donald Trump's not leading the polls, is he?
See, here's the thing about the polls that they talk about in America on the news. I don't know if you know anything about this, but people are
No.
like, "Oh, Donald Trump's leading the polls," and here's the kind of polls that they get their information from. They don't do polls online where they get this source of information where Donald Trump is leading. It's not an online poll.
Okay.
They're doing it by phone. They're not calling cell phones though, because there's no directory of cell phone numbers anywhere. Like they don't have
Okay.
that. Well, they do
Right.
have a directory of his landline numbers. And the
Okay.
only people left in America with landlines are
I think I know where you're going with this.
old people. So, yeah,
Yep,
he's leading in the
there it
polls
is.
of that demographic. But the media
That's
here
very,
acts
very
like it's
specific.
every demographic when it's only literally just that one demographic that they're polling.
Well, that's very comforting to know because so I
Also, the
didn't
polls
think
mean
there was,
nothing. Like, I'm pretty sure, like,
well,
this, like, the last, like, when Obama was first in the running to be president, like, the Republican candidate leading in the polls wasn't John McCain. It was someone else. I don't remember who else was running that. But
oh.
it wasn't John McCain, and then John McCain ended up getting the nomination anyway. So polls literally mean nothing.
Well, I'm glad about that because I was thinking, I have been thinking, oh, there's no chance he'll get in. And then I heard he was, I don't know, head of the polls or whatever. And I was really scared, you know, and I noticed he had been gaining a lot of momentum. And it's this awful thing of like, you know, yeah, for the most part, people just, they regard him as some sort of buffoon or I think now as kind of a dangerous idiot.
But here's
Um,
the thing, though. The
but
people that say that are, the talk show hosts who make fun of him, but then also have him on have him on their show. Like he's
really?
been on Jimmy Kimmel. He's been on Jimmy Fallon.
Are you fucking
He has. He
serious?
absolutely has.
They have gone,
He's been on
both of
Stephen
them have gone.
Colbert. Like,
Do they challenge him? Do they challenge him on all this shit?
I mean, they're essentially. I mean, I watched the one with Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel was essentially like making fun of him to his face, but he wasn't realizing it.
Oh,
And
right.
I mean, see, I don't like having political guests on Jimmy, like, I don't like watching him on Jimmy Fallon's show, because Jimmy Fallon literally will not challenge anyone. He'll call anyone amazing.
Well,
Jimmy Fallon
that's
literally
'cause
does
Jimmy
not have an
Fallon.
issue with anyone or anything.
I mean, this is my thing with Jimmy Fallon. It's why I didn't used to like him. He was just sort of too nice. I think he's kind of loosened up now, and I find him quite funny and endearing. But yeah, why would you have a politician on? I mean, why would you have a politician on any of those shows? I mean, that's not the style at all. They're entertainment shows. I don't get it. I really don't. You know,
But he's
it would
been
be
on
like having.
he's been on Stephen Colbert, and Stephen Colbert has challenged him to his face. But was
Good, yeah,
mostly
quite
but
right.
was mostly polite. But still, all those
Mm.
talk show hosts make fun of him. all the
Yeah, I know,
time
it's
and like
ironic, isn't it?
obviously don't support him at all. Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy
I mean,
Fallon are like, people always give them shit for being like, quote, this isn't me thinking this, but they're like, oh, those Hollywood liberals or whatever. Like, so they obviously do not support him, but in like
no.
Saturday Night
Well,
Live had him host, which people were livid about. Like they would even give him the time of day like that.
yeah, what well, why would you? I mean, unless the only objective is to make him look stupid, but wouldn't you rather just have someone good on and not
The
give him the
the
attention?
point, what I think the point of hosting Saturday Night Live is to make someone seem like endearing. Like they
Yeah.
had Justin Bieber on at a time where his image was still recovering, and so
But Justin
I
Bieber's a kid, you would want to help him out unless he were a complete
yeah.
tool.
So his publicists are probably
Why would
like,
you
you
want
should
to?
go on this show and make people like you, like you're funny and endearing. Go on this show. Um,
Well, but why did they let him? I don't
who,
understand.
Donald Trump or Justin
Why
Bieber?
would they? Donald Trump, why would they want to
I
help
don't
him out?
know.
I don't get it. I mean,
It's
I
not because everyone thinks he's a joke, and he doesn't know that.
well, why
He
would
thinks
they?
he's serious.
Well, yeah. So again, it goes back to my question of you're only having him on to make him look stupid, and in which case,
But it's still
you
giving him
know,
publicity. He's the king of
yeah. And
publicity right
also, is
now.
it really worth it? Is it really that worth making someone look stupid? Like,
I don't.
wouldn't you just rather have someone good on? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I mean, he scares me because I only tend to talk to people who, I mean, we may not agree on everything, but by and large, my friends and me, we have a similar outlook on life. So I have this idea in my head that, oh, someone like Donald Trump, nobody's going to vote for him. But, nobody I talk to will. That doesn't mean anything. What about all the rest of the people on the planet?
It's a very vocal minority from what I know about his actual supporters. His actual supporters, again, this is from what I've gathered from living in Florida, of course, that people don't, there are a lot of people who support him but don't agree necessarily with everything he's saying, but like the way that he's saying it, like he's being so blunt and calling people losers. And I'm like,
See, I just think that's pathetic.
I mean, like, yeah,
You know,
he
I mean,
doesn't
I
talk like a normal politician because he's not a normal politician. He's not a politician at
that
all.
doesn't make him. No, it certainly doesn't make him qualified to. I mean, it's the same thing with. I mean, to a slightly
Would people
lesser
feel
degree.
the same way if, like, Snoop Dogg ran for president?
Well,
They're
yeah,
like,
this
oh,
is
he
it,
doesn't
isn't it?
speak
I
like
mean,
a normal politician. I should vote for him. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I like it's like put any ex-celebrity in that position, and or besides, like, there would obviously be people who would, like philanthropists, like politically active celebrities like Mark Ruffalo,
yeah,
probably.
yeah. But no, I mean,
But like you put like any like would people vote for Gary Busey? Would people vote for, I don't know, fuck, who's like, put any ex-weird celebrity that likes to run their mouth. So,
you shouldn't be voting for people. You shouldn't be voting for people just because you think they're funny.
or not even funny, but they're like, he's speaking his mind. There is a problem in America. And it's all these people who think that there's a problem in America. And there are a lot of problems in America, but I'm, ones that Donald has said he's not.
Lots of people doesn't make them qualified to run for office. I mean, to a lesser degree, it's true of the Mayor of London, Boris Johnson. People voted for him, like, yeah, I mean, in part, yeah, because they kind of thought he was funny or a bit of a joke. And also they liked the fact that he speaks his mind. But that doesn't make you qualified to run for office. And if you vote for people for those reasons, for reasons that are that arbitrary, then you're fucking with people's lives,
He's like,
vote for people if you really believe in someone, vote for them. Even if I don't agree with you, but don't vote for someone for such flimsy reasons.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greer.
no,
sorry.
it's okay. But
Sorry, I
and
got a
and
little bit
like,
heated there.
and he also identifies with all these like racists who are like, he's saying what I'm not allowed to say, and I guess what they want to say is that they think all Mexican immigrants are rapists and drug lords, and
That is what they
that
want to
is what they
say.
want to say,
That's
I
what's so
guess.
scary.
No one's stopping
Yeah.
them from saying it, but it's just really socially deplorable to do so. I mean, that's why we don't say that stuff.
Yeah, because
Because it's a
it's
terrible
horrible
thing to
and cruel.
say and not true.
Yeah. And it's this thing of, oh, this like liberal PC media or government or whatever, it's stopping me from saying the things I want to say. No, it's not. No, it's not. You can say
You
what you
can say
like,
whatever
and
you
people can
want.
think you're,
People's reaction to it,
yeah,
though, you have to be willing to deal with how people are going to react to it.
yeah, you have to be prepared for people to think you're a
Yeah.
cunt,
I can go
I mean,
out in front of on Star Wars opening night. I could have gone out in front of the crowd that was standing out in front of the theater and spoiled the entire movie.
yeah.
That's my freedom of speech right. How people will react to that, though, is or how I'll be seen afterward is a completely different story. I would
Yeah,
have
I
to be
mean, and
willing
the
to
thing
deal with the
is,
consequences of probably getting pummeled into the cement.
yeah, and this is exactly it. They don't want to deal with the consequences of the things that they think and say. They want to be told that they're right by somebody that looks and sounds like
But
them. It's
Donald
got
Trump
nothing
can
to do
deal with
with.
the consequences. You know why? Because he has money. Because he's rich as
Well, this
hell.
is it. Yeah, this is it. He's untouchable. He doesn't give a flying fuck about anyone but himself.
Pretty much.
I think I legitimately think the guy hasn't got a decent bone in his body.
And like, sorry
Um.
to get all political, by the way. This isn't normally like this.
Oh yeah.
But it's just a thing
Sorry,
that happens in America right now, and I'm kind of sick.
Sorry, I kept interrupting you.
No,
Greer.
it's okay. I just get sick of it. I'm sick
know
of
the
people
feeling.
continuing to give him attention. I'm waiting for like a news reporter to just go like the all those news reporters who like started like would say on air how sick they were talking about Kim Kardashian. I wish news reporters would do this to be like, I'm sick of talking about Donald Trump. I'm sick of giving him attention.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be
Wouldn't that
great?
be
Wouldn't
great?
that be fantastic?
Anderson Cooper, I know
The
you have it
problem
in
is
you.
he's being legitimized. I think that's the problem. He's being legitimized as a viable candidate to run for office. And I mean, more so than even some of the people that I really despise over in the UK. The Mayor of London, Boris Johnson, is an absolute bastard. David Cameron,
Fuck the pig.
again, sort of, yeah, fuck the pig. But is, genuinely a really deplorable bloke. But at the very, very, very least, there is a degree of them understanding what is required of them as politicians, They need to not run their mouths off like a bunch of fucking teenagers.
Like there are Republican candidates who act like real politicians and have a plan that they want to do. I may or may not agree with that plan, but they have like a plan and they have experience being a politician. Jeb Bush, for example, has a lot of experience, and he's comes from a line of Bushes. So, he has experience. He's not leading in the polls at all. All the real politicians are, like, not leading at all, and probably don't have a chance in hell.
I mean, it's like, John McCain is a really, really good example, I think. John McCain don't agree with a lot of what he says. He's a Republican. But as a human being, I think he has integrity. I think he takes the seriousness of what he's doing seriously. I might not agree with him, but if gun to head, I had to have a Republican in the White House, my money would be on him, I think.
Yeah. Sad he's not running at all.
No,
Also,
no.
he ran with the Republican Party years ago. I don't think he's actually a Republican. Like, he's actually more of, like, a
Oh,
moderate, I believe. Just because, like, his past politics, and then he had to change that all around to run Republican, and...
I know that John McCain's daughter, Megan McCain, is very pro-gay. So I don't get the impression that he's a really horrible guy. Whereas I just think John McCain is an asshole, and it does. The reason why it scares me so much is because David Cameron and the Conservative Party are currently in government. David Cameron's the Prime Minister, and I didn't think the Conservatives stood a chance after the last 5 years. And then, and then they won. And it does just make me think, well, I'm just mixing with people that I agree with. I haven't really got a clue what's going to happen. And that's quite scary. And the reason why, because it probably seems like I'm getting kind of disproportionately passionate about an American issue, but, what happens in America affects the whole world.
Yeah.
It's a very unique
Sorry
situation.
about that.
You should be sorry.
Sorry about being, like, a
Sorry.
superpower country. That affects literally everything.
You should be sorry. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. Oh, sorry. I feel bad. I was interrupting you and getting all angry. Sorry about that, Greer.
Nah, that's good. This isn't usually a political podcast, by the way.
No,
Sorry about
but
that.
we were good. I thought it was some riveting material.
We got in some Adam Driver being cute talk. That's all.
We did, yeah. We read it and find out whether they're talking about, I don't know, butts or something. That seems like more in our usual remit.
I was gonna go on Emo Kylo Ren, my favorite Twitter account still.
Okay, you go on Emo Kylo Ren.
His last tweet. You know who would have been a great host for SNL? Fran, do you know who would have been a great host for SNL?
Is it Darth Vader?
Darth Vader, yeah.
Oh, it's funny that. I never would have guessed.
I loved that line in that thing that he was like, what do you think about Kylo Ren? Do you really think he's gonna finish what Darth Vader started? Even if there wasn't an emo kid Kylo Ren skit, I would have appreciated like a Vader fanboy Kylo Ren.
Well, this is what we got, isn't it? I mean, we got like a socially awkward, nerdy guy, who you just immediately know wouldn't have been popular in school, wouldn't have been the first kid that got picked
he
in
was not
team.
popular in school, most likely.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and you totally got that sense from the SNL sketch.
Do you want to see a picture of him when he was a Marine?
Adam Driver?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a Marine.
He was a Marine.
Wow, no.
He is a whole story that I will get into in a second once I show you this picture of it's a picture of him as a Marine. It's a side-by-side of him as a Marine, and then his when he was on the cover of GQ.
Oh my god.
Look at that little nerd.
That's extraordinary. So, how long was he in the Marines for before he became an actor?
He was in the Marines, I believe, because I watched the whole thing on it. I think he was in the service for about, because he joined, like, a little bit after September 11th attacks. I think he was serving for about 2.5 years.
Well, he must be quite old, Adam Driver.
He is, let me look that up. He's 32.
Yeah.
In his 30s. But anyway, so, he joined the Marines for about 2.5 months, and then he broke his sternum when he was out mountain biking. So, he was medically discharged, before, his unit, which had a bunch of his friends in it, because he was actually really looking forward to being deployed to Iraq. And, he was medically discharged right before his unit was being deployed to Iraq. So then he went home and went to Juilliard.
Wow.
So
now that's what I call bouncing back.
Yeah. So now actually he has a nonprofit. Vice News did a whole segment on it that you can watch on YouTube that I linked to you, I believe. But he runs a nonprofit with his wife called
Aw.
Arts in the Armed Forces, which he'll go around
Aw.
to, him and a bunch of actors will go around to not only to overseas, but to like veterans charity events in the U.S. and
Oh my God, what a little weeboo.
to what is it when you're like to stationed military in the U.S. and they do monologues, like theater monologues and stuff for them, because he said one thing he noticed when he was in the military was like the entertainment that they would get for them was always like country singers and Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, like nothing really of like
Any
to
substance.
him, nothing of real substance. So he's like, I'm gonna read some monologues.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
What a good idea. And it's great because it's like if you are in the situation that he was in where you get injured and you're looking for something else to do with your life, that could really inspire you. What a cool guy.
Anyway,
Chris, I'm on. Oh, go on.
I was gonna say you should watch that Vice News thing because he talks about it a lot and that they show them going to some stuff and you also get to hear him read some monologues and he's a really good actor.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up. I don't think you did link it to me.
I think I tagged you in it on Facebook, but I'll link it to you anyway.
That was good.
Yeah, I'll link it to you again.
I'm on Redditors who quit their jobs in a blaze of glory. So back when I worked at a car dealership as a mechanic, the service manager was screwing mechanics out of paychecks, cutting appointments and only paying us for 30 hours of work at minimum wage instead of paying our normal hourly rate. The next payday Friday that came, the service manager came out, made an announcement saying he was going to extend hours and weekends. So at 7:20 a.m., before the day even started, I walked right out to my truck, backed into my bay and loaded my tools up and left. He asked me to reconsider and reminded me that you're guaranteed minimum wage. Yeah, fuck you. I heard after that stunt, 3 other people quit without notice and he was asked to leave the dealership. Well, that's a nice story. It's a nice story of like a douchebag getting what's coming to him.
Yeah. Good for you. I was going to find that story. Good for you, sarcastic redneck. Good for you, boy.
Good for you. Let's see if there are any really funny ones. Boodly boodly boo.
Here's a good thread. What's the worst movie plot you've ever seen?
You answer
that because you like movies.
Whereas you're indifferent to them?
I like movies. I can never remember plots that well, though.
Let me think. Odd Life of Timothy Green. Although having said that, maybe if that plot had been executed better, it could have been quite charming. But yeah, as it stands, totally charmless. Battlefield Earth had a terrible story. Worst plot. I'm trying to think of something that the worst thing about it is the plot, where you just sort of look at it and think like, what is going on here? Like, who came up with this? What were they on?
I like this in the thread. In The Dark Knight Rises, Bane breaks into a stock exchange, killing multiple people and making trades to bankrupt Wayne Corp that in real life would have clearly been declared fraudulent in the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, stopping Bane in his tracks.
Oh.
Weird how those guys broke into the stock exchange for reasons unknown, and the richest man in Gotham makes inexplicable trades costing him his entire fortune.
Hang on, I'm confused about that one. You're going to have to start that again.
Remember, when was the last time you watched The Dark Knight Rises?
I think I only saw it once when it actually came out.
There is a scene where he's like breaking into a stock exchange place, and he kills multiple people, and he was making a bunch of fraudulent trades to bankrupt Bruce Wayne's corporation. And in real life, according to this Redditor, that would have been, all those trades would have been declared fraudulent by the exchange.
Oh, okay. So he would have immediately been done, Bane, and immediately got caught. Okay. Oh, that's sort of interesting. I mean, I do kind of think you're going to have to suspend your disbelief a little bit when it comes to stuff like that. Let me think. What are some of the other ones in the thread?
I like this. This one's a little insecure, but the plot hole is possibly the worst in all of cinema. Her alibi. In the film, the main character's house gets blown up. At the end of the movie, he and his girlfriend go back to the house for some sex. The people who made the film literally forgot that the house got blown up while they were making it. And not one person, not the actors, not the director, the screenwriter, not a single person on the catering crew, nobody noticed this. This is what you have continuity editors for.
Oh my fucking god. I mean, you wouldn't think you'd need a continuity editor for something like that. I mean, I'm wondering whether, I don't know, did the house get rebuilt? Did he just miss that
I don't know.
part?
Apparently, Roger Ebert reviewed this film and said the people who made this movie apparently forgot that they blew up the house half an hour earlier.
Oh god.
What a great plot hole.
Jesus Christ, that's the mother of all plot holes.
Mm-hmm.
Blowing up an entire house and then it reappearing.
Mm-hmm.
That's something else.
Also, it's just plot lines in movies, or worst plot holes. I'm sorry. Worst plot holes in a movie. I read the title wrong.
I mean, worst plot line is a good question as well, but worst plot hole, it's funny, when I see them, I know them. They're glaringly obvious. In the Marauders map in Harry Potter, do you know the story of Harry Potter very well?
Yeah.
So, the Marauders map shows everyone in the vicinity of Hogwarts.
Why doesn't it show Peter Pettigrew, is what you're saying?
Yeah, wow, you got there way more quickly
I've heard people talk about that.
Yeah, I mean...
Apparently J.K. Rowling explained that it's here in this thread. Oh my god. J.K. Rowling had an explanation that's kind of mildly infuriating for not being an explanation at all, but someone asked her this apparently. J.K. Rowling said, or someone asked, why didn't Fred and George notice Peter Pettigrew on the Marauders map before Prisoner of Azkaban? She said, it would not have mattered if they had, unless somebody was very familiar with the story of Sirius Black, and after all, Sirius was not Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's best friend. Indeed, they never knew him until he escaped from Azkaban. Fred and George would be unlikely to know or remember that Peter Pettigrew was the person Sirius had supposedly murdered. Even if Fred and George had heard that story at some point, why would they assume that the Peter Pettigrew that would occasionally saw moving around the map was in fact the man murdered years before? Fred and George used the map for their own mischief-making, and they concentrated naturally enough on those portions of the map where they were planning their next misdeeds. And finally, you must not forget that the hundreds of little dots moving around the map at any given time, Fred and George did not know everyone in the school by name, so a single unfamiliar name was unlikely to stand out.
I mean,
how infuriating is that? J.K. Rowling's non-explanation.
I mean, I sort of get it. I mean, I think for me the clincher was, there are so many dots moving around the school at the same time. That is a good point.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, whether they had heard of Peter Pettigrew or not, wouldn't have they thought it was weird that Ron was sharing his bed every night with this man?
Yeah, really.
I mean, that for me would be a pretty clear indicator of something. I might not have known who he was, but maybe I definitely would have been curious.
Maybe they didn't care where Ron was. Because, they're like, oh, we see Ron every day.
Yeah, maybe they just weren't paying attention. That's entirely plausible. Well, not entirely plausible. It's as plausible as I think we're going to get, and we have to live with it.
There's another Harry Potter one in this thread. This was in the movies, but not in the book. In the very beginning of one of the Harry Potter movies, Harry is reading under the blankets in his bed at the Dursleys' home, and he uses Lumos spell as a light. However, Harry can't do magic outside of school. The ministry would kick him out.
Oh, that's a brilliant point. Oh my god. How did I never spot that? What's the answer? Has J.K. Rowling ever responded to that apart from being like,
it was in
I'm
the movies.
sorry?
It was in the movies. That was their...
No. This happened in the book.
Do you remember that in the book?
I remember it happening in the book. I listened to Prisoner of Azkaban about a week ago.
The audiobook?
Yeah. Wow. J.K. Rowling should be very ashamed of that little blunder.
Oh, someone said, I thought of that too. In book 5, he uses that spell and doesn't get in trouble. The only explanation I have is that the spell doesn't appear magical, since muggles could easily think he has a weird flashlight. That is...
I guess I mean, that's the definition of a non-explanation, but I suppose he's not J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
Well, she better come up with something good
Yeah,
for me,
Joe.
for my sake, so I can sleep at night. I can't think of one. The problem is I would have to sit and watch. Yeah, I'd have to sit and watch like every movie I own. Or I probably wouldn't actually. I'd probably have to watch one movie and then they would all immediately jump out at me.
There's one in here that, this is a thing that actually bothered me in Star Wars The Force Awakens. When R2-D2 wakes up for no reason at the end of the movie and randomly has the map that fits into BB-8's map.
I thought he always had the map, but they just couldn't wake him up.
I talked about this with Wesley. Why would they make a droid, by the way? Why would they make a droid that you couldn't turn on manually? Droids serve people. If a droid decided to turn itself off or go into low power mode, there should be like a manual thing where you could go into the droid and take it out of that mode.
Right,
because it's supposed to serve you.
what I would say about this, Greer, is that because they're self-aware, the droids, then you are getting into a slightly thorny issue with taking away their freedom of choice. You know, they're there to serve you, but R2-D2 is allowed to have an attitude. He's allowed to make his own decisions. He's got agency, as does 3PO. So I think it would be a little out of my kind of comfort zone of what I consider acceptable and normal in those films if they were just like, yeah, you know, you're our slave, we're going to do what I want with you, you're our little bitch.
What I tell myself, I think that, like, maybe R2 was, like, this is what I think, that, and this is me trying to justify it, because I like the movie so much. Maybe he was programmed to power back on after, like, certain conditions. Like Luke didn't want to be found until, like, the right time. I don't know what that kind of right time was.
Well, that's a very, very good point.
Maybe is he force sensitive? Like, can he talk to R2 through his mind all the way across the galaxy?
I mean, it's
even though R2 is a robot. I don't know.
But I do this, Greer. When I watch movies and there's a kind of glaring plot hole and something that's really bothering me, I can't just say, I have to sit and really think about it and come up with a solution. Whether it's right or not, I don't know, but it's just so I can concentrate. Do you know what I mean? Otherwise, I just find it unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's this whole death of the author thing. I think if it's satisfying to... I mean, I have a bit of an issue with death of the author. I had a conversation with my friend about this, about Dumbledore's sexuality, because what I was saying was that, well, if J.K. Rowling says he's gay, then he's gay, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And she was saying if it's not in the books, then it's not canon. I mean, she went into much more detail than that. She wasn't that black and white about it, but I mean, yeah, I guess it's that death of the author thing. If the answer satisfies you, then that's what's true to you. I don't know. It's a hard one. I don't know what I think about it.
Also, I'm assuming that, like, the part of the map that they had is, like the part that BB-8 had is, like, unexplored territory, so they can't do anything without the rest of the map. Like, it's that huge.
Well, yeah, I mean,
like, the galaxy is that fucking big. Like, that's what I'm assuming.
But they say that, Greer. They say it's only... Okay. When they first show the map, they say this is only part of the map, we need the rest of it. So, I mean, they are waiting for R2 to wake up. It is a really crucial kind of, you know... It's a really kind of crucial established part of the plot.
There's someone in here who said, basically what the movie is claiming is that if I give you an accurate map of California that wasn't labeled, but with the route and final destination of some lost dude, you would not be able to find him unless you had a map of the entire planet Earth with just the section of depicting California missing.
Hang on, start that again, Greer. I
So,
lost you
like,
there.
if you're lost in California somewhere and I couldn't find you,
Yeah.
and I had a map that was just, like, California, where you were and all that, but I didn't know, like, where that was on Earth, but I knew, like, where exactly you were
Okay.
on that piece of map. The only way I could find you would be to get a map of the entire Earth, but with just California missing.
Um, sort of. I mean,
But we're
that
going off of the fact that nothing, like, that's not explored at all, and we don't know where that fits into the rest of anything.
well, that's not what I took from it. What I took from it was there was a map which led directly to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
It was it was that direct route. They had part of it. They needed another part of it.
They basically needed to know how to get to that place.
Yeah, I guess so. But
Because
I mean, I don't.
BB-8's map had, like, this is exactly where he is.
I don't
And I'm
quite
like,
get
well,
this.
why can't you just go off of that then? So I'm like, maybe it's just like a part of the galaxy they don't know and they don't know how to get there.
Yeah, but then they would just need the
But
rest
somehow
of the
Luke
map. Like
does. I don't know.
the the impression I got was just they had part of a map. They needed the other part. Like I don't get quite what this Reddit is saying about being lost and needing a map of the world with just that part missing. Like, yeah, that's lost me.
Well, R2 had the map with just BB-8's part missing. BB-8 had California. Okay?
I just took that he had part of the route and they
He,
needed the rest of the route.
he had the final destination of where he was, but I am assuming that that part of the galaxy is unexplored because they could just be like, oh, he's on X planet 99X1. We can just go there then. But they needed the map of the rest of the galaxy to figure out how to actually get there because that part of the galaxy is unexplored.
Oh, okay, yeah, I think I see what you're saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if they knew where that was on BB-8's map, they could just go, oh, okay, let's just go there then.
But I would have, you would
That's where to
think
go.
though, you would think though, wouldn't you, that they would already have a map of the galaxy?
Well, I think it's Star Wars canon that a majority of the galaxy is unexplored. Just like today, a majority of the galaxy, we have no idea. Just
Oh,
like
that's
right now.
yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I think it was
Because as
this.
far as even, I mean, even in a world that takes place in space, you know, I assume there's like a lot of space that people haven't been to.
You know what I think was throwing me there, Greer? It was the California analogy. Like there were parts of California that has yet unexplored.
We're going off the fact that, like, what if I was coming to Earth and I had no idea where anything was?
No, sorry, I was being a
What
bit
if I was
literal
in
then, I
first
think.
grade and didn't know anything about geography?
Yeah, no, I'm with you now. I'm on the train. I think I was just
I
being a
think
bit
the biggest
literal.
Star Wars plot hole, specifically a Star Wars plot hole, is that in the prequels when Obi-Wan doesn't recognize R2 and 3PO.
Yeah, that's huge.
That's a big fuck up.
It is. There's not really a lot they can do. I mean, unless because it's so long since I've seen A New Hope. Like, is it
Or
viable
no,
if you
no,
go?
I mean in the original trilogy when
Yeah, A New Hope. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I meant the original trilogy, not the prequel trilogy. In the
Yeah.
original
No,
trilogy,
I
when
understand.
Obi-Wan has no recollection of 3PO and R2.
Yeah. No. I understand. I know that's what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it's been so long since I've seen A New Hope. Do you think it's possible that if you go back and look at it, do you think it's viable that Obi-Wan could just be pretending he doesn't know them for whatever reason?
No, I don't know.
No.
Fuck.
I mean, I'd have to see New Hope again and really like analyze Alec Guinness's performance, but I mean, even so, I think that would be a
But
pretty
Alec
weak.
Guinness hated Star Wars.
Yeah, he did.
Or something. I don't know. There's a lot of like actors with like they hated Star Wars.
He was brilliant in Star Wars. If he hated it, you never would have known.
Yeah.
He still gave a damn good performance.
Billy D. Williams hated Star Wars, apparently.
Really?
Or hates Star Wars. Yeah, I think Billy D. Williams doesn't like Star Wars. Like, I'm pretty sure they would have invited him back for these new movies, but he hates Star Wars.
Wow, screw that guy.
Even though they invited him to the premiere, and he was at the premiere of
Oh,
Force
really?
Awakens, so...
Maybe this stuff is all a bunch of bullshit then.
Billy D. Williams is like, free food, I'll go.
My favorite thing
or maybe like his son or grandson likes Star Wars. I don't know.
My favorite thing from the premiere was when Frank Oz said that he liked Jar Jar Binks. Fucking idiot.
Dude, Jar Jar is all this.
I love Frank Oz, but damn it, man.
We haven't spoken since you watched that Star Wars Phantom Menace making of.
Yeah, that was extraordinary. I've never seen anything like that. I mean, because the thing is, it was actually quite a fascinating window into the way in which films are made. You know, it was very candid. It wasn't kind of big or flashy. But apart from George Lucas, everyone kind of seemed to know what they were doing. So you do just sort of have to think, like, the fault rests entirely with him. You know, he comes on screen and it's like a different story. He's like somebody that's never made a film in his life, you know? And he doesn't even talk in proper sentences. It's really bizarre. I find the whole thing fascinating. It's like watching a car crash. I highly recommend...
I told you, it's the greatest train wreck documentary you'll ever watch in your life.
Oh my god. I couldn't recommend it more highly, this documentary.
It's fantastic.
It's brilliant. Like, seek it out. Do whatever you can to seek it out. For those of you that haven't seen it, because it is brilliant. But yeah, I loved it. And I mean, you have to feel sorry for him, and you have to feel sorry for Jake Lloyd as well. I mean, you know, that little kid, you know, he wasn't a terrible actor. He did actually have quite, like...
That second kid was better than him, though.
I could see what they were saying about they liked him being kind of natural and not being all flashy in Hollywood. And, you know, I feel like because that movie was so hated, it did kind of chew him up and spit him out. Like, people always talk about Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar, and how kind of fucked that movie left him. But at the end of the day...
I felt so bad for that guy.
I felt bad for him too, but he was still an adult with a career and with talent and, you know, who was reasonably established on Broadway and all this other stuff. I mean, Jake Lloyd had nothing, you know? All he had after this was high school and a bunch of people probably ribbing the shit out of him for being in such a shitty movie. I mean...
Even, Natalie Portman said after she did, the Star Wars prequels, like, she had a hard time getting a job after that.
Yeah,
like, it took her a few years before she was able to reestablish herself in Hollywood.
Well, no, I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they were, you know... They were really hated. And I mean, I think there's an element of it that is unjustified. Like, I mean, there are things that I look at in those movies. Like, Liam Neeson I thought was brilliant. I loved Darth Maul, loved Ewan McGregor, loved the pod race, loved the Yoda fight in Attack of the Clones. Like, we talked about this. There are things in the prequels that I really like, but...
Oh, yeah, there are great actors in them. Liam Neeson, Sam Jackson, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Keira Knightley's in it for a little bit.
But they are just so boring. They're so dull. But it was like
George Lucas was like, can you do that more monotone?
Yeah.
Do that with less emotion. Or they just took the first take and George was like, okay.
Yeah, apparently he gave them almost no direction.
Well, that's notorious. I mean, even Carrie Fisher said that was the case back on the original trilogy. She has said that she went to say, like, oh, you know, George is such a nice guy, but, like, he never gave me much direction other than, you know, faster and with more feeling or whatever. Like, that was real. He was a very quiet guy on set, which is why she praised JJ so much, because he's a very hands-on director, which I've heard from other movies as well, that he's a very hands-on director.
Yeah, I mean,
like one of those directors that gets very, very involved in a project.
I just think
but not to the point of, like, going into the editing room and meddling around like George Lucas did.
No, he seems like a nice guy, J.J. Abrams. And I mean, to be fair, like, George Lucas doesn't seem like a horrible guy. He just seems like a weird, not very personable guy, and a bit of an egotist.
Yeah. And I've, I've heard that from not just Star Wars actors, but from other movies he's worked on.
Well, how
That's just kind of the guy he is, and
how
I
could
don't.
you think Jar Jar Binks? How could you think Jar Jar Binks was not only a character worth having in the film, but the key to it
Gotta
all? I mean,
gotta reel in those kids. But as been proven by J.J. Abrams, you can have a movie that reels in kids and not have stupid shit in it.
yeah. I mean,
Literal poop jokes. There's a whole 15-second scene. I think I talked about this. There's a whole 15-second scene in Phantom Menace, where the only thing that happens in the scene is Jar Jar smells a fart.
yeah, fucking
That's
Christ.
the
I mean,
only thing that happens in 15 seconds. It's like 15 seconds before the pod race
and I do just think,
happens.
this is the same sort of franchise where, Han Solo and Princess Leia had all this like amazing crackling dialogue that just fizzed with sexual tension. I mean, they were movies for families and they were movies for kids, but they were intelligent and they were
And then,
mature and
and then you have
they were
Anakin and Padme, which was literally just like slapping two wet paper towels together.
yeah, God Almighty. But I mean, the point, because that is a very, very, very good point as well. They had no chemistry, but I mean, another thing is with stuff like Jar Jar and like the fart scenes, you just think like, that's the kind of joke you'd find on a bad Nickelodeon cartoon. I mean,
That's
Star
the
Wars
kind
is
of
better
thing
than
you.
that, or it
That's the
should
kind
be.
of thing you would find on like the Clone Wars show or the Star Wars Rebels cartoon, but they don't do any of that shit either.
No, I mean,
That's the oh, I would see that in a cartoon, but there are two great Star Wars cartoons out that are going right now that don't have any of that.
well, there you go. I mean, yeah, I just think George Lucas, he obviously had an enormous blind spot. He had no idea what about Star Wars people loved, which amazes me because there were three great original Star Wars films,
Hmm.
that he had a hand in writing, that he created. I mean, yeah, you'd think he'd have a bit more of an idea. I don't get it. I really don't.
We all don't. I have a huge love-hate relationship with him.
Yeah, me
I'm like,
too.
I talked about this last time. I recognize what he's done for the industry. Industrial Lights and Magic completely turned just movie making on its head.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, his movies have inspired so many other, great series, inspired a lot of directors to get into directing, like J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
But there are some times I recognize what he's done, but there are some times where I look at him and I'm like, you are literal human garbage.
Yeah.
I don't like you at all.
No, I know. I mean, when he compared selling Star Wars to like selling your children into slavery, I'm like, okay, one, no, it fucking isn't. It's a film. Two, you made the choice to do that. And three, someone that really loves you wanted to honor your work with The Force Awakens, and that comment essentially shat all over him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Like,
like
I
you
didn't like it.
said, J.J. Abrams, he invited George Lucas to the premiere. He's his hero,
Yeah.
Must have broken his heart to hear that.
J.J. Abrams said, like, I saw Star Wars and then I wanted to make movies. When he
And
was
then
like a little kid, he saw Star Wars in the theater.
and George Lucas compares J.J. Abrams' movie to his kids being sold into slavery. What a prince. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean. I wouldn't change anything that you said. I concur.
I would I really like J.J. Abrams. Like, I don't know how people like feel about him. Like the overall like consensus about him. I think people like him. But
I didn't love his Star Trek movies. I really, really enjoyed the first one. I thought the second one kind of sucked, and I don't think he was really the right person to be doing Star Trek. But
well,
I don't
yeah,
hold.
he said that he didn't grow up with Star Trek.
Yeah, but I don't hold that against him. I think it's a shame, but I don't hold it against him.
Yeah. But I
no, I
like
mean,
him
apart
a
from that,
lot. He's just a good guy.
and he's
He's
passionate about movie making, he
he
genuinely
really
is.
loves Star Wars.
And yeah, he loves
He
making
he
films,
loves his little Star Wars movie. It's so adorable.
I
He's like
know.
a puppy. He's
It's
like an
lovely.
excited puppy. Like the way he talks about when he was so excited he got to direct Harrison Ford. Like,
Oh,
and he like loves, like, you'll see him doing press with like Carrie Fisher, and he just gets such a kick out of Carrie Fisher being just a
oh,
crazy bitch. I love her.
I love her
And
too.
um he just gets such a kick out of it. And
Oh,
it's I love him. I love all this press he's doing. He obviously loves Star Wars. I'm so sad he's not doing the other two, and
I'm
instead
sad
they're
too.
getting the guy who did Jurassic World, which is apparently like probably the most mixed reviewed movie of last year, Jurassic
I mean,
World. Because I
well,
know
okay, all right.
about as much people I know who like it, there's an equal amount of people I know who hated it.
Here's the thing with this, though.
Also, it's the first movie that guy ever did.
No, I don't think
The guy
so.
who did Jurassic World was his first movie.
I thought the guy that was directing the second Star Wars movie directed Looper.
He did Looper. I'm talking about the guy who's doing the third one.
Oh, okay. Right. So the guy that's doing the second
I'm
one did
trying to
Looper.
think
The
of it.
guy,
Colin
that,
Trevorrow.
okay, the guy.
Jurassic
Sorry,
World
hang on.
was his first movie.
But the guy that is directing the second one did Looper. The guy that's directing the third one did Jurassic World. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
But I
Well,
believe
okay.
J.J. Abrams is still like writing on them, I think.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Which
Here's the
is
thing.
good
So
because I like
yeah,
his writing, but
J.J. Abrams is
I'd
right.
rather have him be directing.
Yeah. Well, J.J. Abrams. Yeah, he's writing on it. That's good. The guy that directed Jurassic World, like you said, it was his first movie. Jurassic World, it worked for some people, didn't work entirely for me. But here's the thing. Star Trek didn't work entirely for me, and I loved J.J. Abrams' take on Star Wars. So I'm holding my breath, you
Mm-hmm.
know? I think these people get how much love there is for Star Wars. I don't think they're going to fuck it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I hope.
I'm just like, I hope Colin Trevorrow gets in another movie to do before
Get some practice
Star
in.
Wars. I don't know. I heard they're doing a sequel to Jurassic World, but I'm not entirely sure about that.
Jurassic World kind of, to be honest. I mean, it was all right, but and I do know what you're saying. Like, you want it to be in safer hands. And I mean, yeah, whatever I thought of Star Trek, they are still kind of competently made films, and J.J. Abrams had a lot of experience before that. And you want Star Wars to be in safe hands. I do understand that. I think now that, particularly actually now that it's back, I think they're aware of how much love there is for it. And yeah, I don't think they're gonna fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just he don't fuck it up. I don't know. I don't think. I just hope. I do hope that J.J. Abrams is continuing to be at least like creative consulting or writing on them, being a writer or something, because he needs to be involved with all of these. In some way, he has to be involved, because
I agree.
this is his
agree.
baby now.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is.
I would be perfectly okay with this being like his baby.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I agree completely. He just got Star Wars right. He got what Star Wars was, and he did it beautifully. And yet it felt like something really fresh and really exciting. And yeah, I mean, if he had directed all of them, I would have been very fucking happy with that.
Yeah.
I think we can wrap it up, can't we?
Yeah, we've been going for about 2 hours.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's probably longer than we've gone for a while.
Yeah.
How shall we round off?
I don't know. Shit. I was gonna find an emo Kylo Ren tweet.
Okay, round it off with an emo Kylo Ren tweet. Round it off with that.
I did tweet a lot of stuff last night that I would deem inappropriate about Adam Driver. Let me try to find out.
Go on then.
What all did I tweet last night? Because I don't really remember. It was pretty late. I'll just read emo Kylo Ren. He's much funnier than I am. I did tweet at some point last night that I was very drowsy last night, and that's when I act like a crazy person on social media. I did tweet, I wish Adam Driver would pound me for realsies though. Hashtag the thirst is real. But he'd have to be dressed like Kylo Ren. Like he would absolutely dress like Kylo Ren.
No, fair play. I can't argue with that. I'm not going to argue with that for a moment.
Emo Kylo Ren said, "There's nothing sadder than a middle-aged man in a vest." He does tweet a lot. There were a lot of tweets that I held off on reading the last time we read emo Kylo Ren because I didn't want to spoil the Han Solo thing. But I feel like I can now.
I love that he's shit-talking his dad. That's so good.
He's always shit-talking his dad. Was that one that I just read? Oh god, where was it? Oh no, where was it? Oh, FYI mom, if you see our son, bring him home is way too dramatic of a way to ask dad to just pick me up from band practice, just in my opinion. I was not crying in the shower. I just realized how I'll never get to meet Darth Vader and then got soap in my eye.
I think we can probably leave it there.
Yeah.
Cool. See you later, kids.
Bye.